good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right. What a ruckus. You'd think it was the end of the world or something. Let us begin this transmission in the following way, first and foremost, by once again thanking each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance of this transmission from our society to yours. Each and every time you afford us the opportunity of experiencing the gift of sharing with you, you expand our understanding of the multidimensional crystal of creation, and we thank you for that gift. We would like to begin this transmission with the idea that we have called the crossing of the threshold, the tipping of the scales, wherein we shall discuss a little bit more deeply the ideas of resistance to the natural self, the shadow reflections of the physical mind, and letting go of definitions that are out of alignment with your true self, that do not work for you, that hold you back from truly living your life of ecstasy, your life of bliss, your life of joy. At the end of this little speech that we are giving now to you, before we begin with questions, I will also have a little bit of a surprise announcement. All right. Maybe I don't need to make it. Sounds like some of you already know what it is. But maybe not. Nevertheless, for the moment, let us begin with the transmission of these ideas. First and foremost, we recognize that many of you thought this day would never come. But here you are, in the threshold itself. Now, it does not matter what ideas, what mythology, what folklore, what concepts, what perspective and perception you had about what this day represents, what this crossing represents. Doesn't matter what calendar you adhere to. Doesn't matter in that sense how time is counted by you. The idea that this many people on your planet are focused on the notion that this is in some way, shape, or form the ending of one cycle and the beginning of another is sufficient to make it so. So you have created for yourself, in a way, a self-fulfilling prophecy of gathering your energy focus together, creating the leading edge of a consciousness wave, and riding the crest of that wave now across this threshold in much the same way that many of your machines break through the sound barrier, creating that boom, that crossing, that impact, that shaking, that reverberation, that awakening, that realization that you are now in a new realm, a new frequency, existing on a new level. And in crossing this threshold now, by whatever means you have created yourself to be a part of this endeavor, you now have the opportunity in the crossing of this threshold and standing right in this threshold and now being at the center of the scales, tipping them from one side to the other and accelerating the vibrational energy that is more representative of your true self. You have the opportunity to truly clarify for yourselves what is true for you. What is the focus you really prefer? What is the state of being you really prefer to have and experience in your lives? For you now have the assistance and the help and the support of the collective consciousness that is all focused on this particular moment as being something new, something special, something different. You really have the ability now to take advantage of the crest of that wave and ride it far and fast in the direction of your choosing, in the direction of your joy, in the direction of your bliss. It is your time now and your timing now to realize and recognize this opportunity as deeply as you possibly can, so that you can, in examining any resistance that you may still be holding on to, any negative beliefs, any negative definitions that you may be holding on to that allow you to experience your life in a way that you do not prefer. This is your opportunity to truly stand in the spotlight of your own being, in the spark of your own essence, and with honesty and excitement and curiosity and determination and focus to truly dig deep, dive down into those things that are not you, and to stop carrying that baggage you may have been carrying for so many years that weighs you down, that you've been dragging along on the ground, feeling that you are held back. It is now the sparkling opportunity to truly divest yourself of any and all definitions, labels, and beliefs and perceptions that do not align with your true vibration, your true frequency, so that whatever it is that may occur in your life, and no matter how it may look on the surface, you will give yourself that opportunity, that space to redefine, to pause and redefine in the way you prefer to, whatever it is you choose, whatever it is you prefer. The vibration to label every situation, every circumstance, without exception, in your lives, in a way that works for you. To use your imagination, that conduit of communion between your physical mind and higher mind, to use that higher mind mirror and the synchronicity in your life in a way now that is truly reflective and truly representative of the behavior, of the personality, of the thoughts, words, deeds, actions, behaviors that you prefer to exhibit, that are representative of that ideal you in your visualization of the ideal reality, without, in any way, shape, or form, insisting on or expecting that the reality you visualize must come to fruition in the way that you have imagined it. Only because you now know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that whatever the physical mind imagines can be given to you many times greater than you were capable of imagining by the higher mind. And so that is reason enough to let go of your insistence on how you think things should work out, and to be willing to let in the things that the higher mind knows are the things you truly need, by investing and appreciating every single moment that occurs in your life, because nothing happens by accident. And you all know this deep down, even though you may have forgotten on the surface. You all know this deep down. And it is time for that deep down part of you to ascend, to rise, to bubble up, and become truly aligned and harmonious and synchronous with the physical personality, so that the behavior exhibits that knowledge, that certainty, that indestructible knowingness that you are worthy of creation, that you are worthy of your dreams, that you are worthy of joy. Because that is the state from which you were created. The explosion, in a sense, of ecstasy that you refer to as the beginning of all that is, still exists. For there is only one moment of creation, only one. Yet you experience that moment from all the different points of view you possibly can. And that is what you call different moments. But they are all the same moment from another perspective. So you are always in that moment of creation, the single moment in which everything exists here and now. And in realizing that and knowing that, this is your opportunity to understand that as you dive down deeply into your consciousness, into your being, there is no reason to fear the unknown. For the only thing, as we have said, you will ever discover in the unknown is just more of yourself, because that's all there is to discover in the unknown. More of you. More and more and more of who and what you truly are, who and what you're truly created to be. Inspire yourselves. Imagine yourselves. Act as the selves you truly prefer to be. And know that as you allow more clarity in your definitions and assign more positive meanings, definitions, and labels to the things that occur in your life, you will see the synchronicity reflected. Not that you have to, because living your excitement and being in the state of being you prefer to be in is, in and of itself, reason enough to do it. And you don't really need another reason. You can choose to be happy because that's what you prefer. You don't need to wait for a reason. You are the creator of your reasons anyway. So if you experience the idea of unhappiness, then it is simply because it is your choice. Choose something else if you prefer something else, because there is nothing within creation that can contradict what you say is true for you. Not a thing. Because what you on your planet for many, many years have called God's will is actually your will. And your will is God's will. Why? Because God is everything. God is all that is. You are made from God because there is nothing else to make anything from. Thus then, each of you expresses a different perspective of the will of creation. So creation doesn't need to stress or exercise any difference in its will other than the will it has created all of you and all of us and everything in creation already to be. You are already expressing all the different variants, in a sense, of God's will, just to use that term. So it doesn't need to contradict anything because it is everything. And if it wasn't important for you to have your unique perspective, your unique choices, your unique will, believe me, you wouldn't exist because creation does not make mistakes. So if you exist, creation knows you need to exist in order for it to truly be all that is. Without you, it would not be all that is. So your will is God's will, and God's will is yours for yourself. That's what you were created to be, an expression of, in a sense, God's will. To have the experience of being you, uniquely you. And you get to decide how to express that, because it is your choice. It is your expression. It is your experience. It is your life. That's why you were given that life. That's why you were created, to express your unique perspective so that all that is has all the perspectives it needs to be all that is. Without you, it would collapse into nothing. You are that valuable. You are that worthy. You are that important. And you are that indestructible. Because if you exist, you cannot cease to exist. By definition, non-existence doesn't exist. So there's nowhere for you to go. If you exist, you always will. You will change, but you will always exist. Now let us discuss briefly the ideas, again, of resistance, the shadow reflections. We have discussed before the concept of different levels of consciousness. As you create your consciousness to be, you experience yourself by creating levels, different frequencies of consciousness, from non-physical to physical, a variety of different levels of frequency of expression. And we have talked about the idea that many of you believe or have believed for quite some time that as a physical consciousness, you have other levels of consciousness beneath that level. You have the subconscious and unconscious. And you talk about these levels as if they are, in a sense, deeper below you. But they are not. They are above you. Physical consciousness is the lowest level. So when you go searching into your subconscious and unconscious mind for the answers you know are there, you're actually needing to raise your frequency. We have discussed this. It is not actually about going lower. However, in your physical reality, because you have this definition that your physical consciousness is paramount and the Lord of all it surveys and in control of everything, and that your subconscious mind and unconscious mind are these unfathomable things somewhere beneath the level of your conscious mind. You have created the shadow reflections of these ideas in your physical reality. And it is these shadow reflections that you look to when you look down to these things and go down in vibration to deal with the sub and unconscious minds. But they are only ghosts, they are only shadows, they are only illusions. The subconscious and unconscious minds are higher in frequency because they are closer to the level of the all-knowing you, the higher mind, that has, in a sense, broken itself down into the game board on which you're playing and the game pieces that you are. The collective consciousness, in that sense, that determines the collective agreement of the rules you will play by in the game of physical reality on your planet of Earth. This is all being stepped down to the level of the physical mind, which essentially is really nothing more than the idea of a diving mask to allow you to see clearly in the depths of the physical reality you are exploring. That's its true and only job. The ego structure is a diving mask to allow you to experience physical reality. But everything else is above you. There is nothing below you. And so when you go looking for the answers that exist to your questions, they do reside within you, but they reside in the direction of up, not down. Your subconscious and unconscious are really higher conscious levels. Don't define them as being below or beneath you, or some mysterious compartment locked away in the depths of your psyche. Rise to the occasion of discovering who you are by raising your frequency and exploring upward. Again, the answers are all found going toward the light, not down into darkness, not down into shadows. Questions down, answers up. That's why your question mark is bent over looking down. That's why your exclamation point is pointing up. Take a cue from your own language, from your own punctuation. Allow yourselves again to understand that as you do choose to act more and more now in this threshold energy, on your excitement, your highest excitement, we ask you, please remember clearly what we have said many times about excitement being a complete kit. Many times we have had conversations with many of you where you ask the questions, well, will my excitement do this? Will it do that? Will it bring me this? Will it bring me that? We remind you, excitement is a complete kit. Look up the word. Nothing is left out of it. It is a complete kit. It is the driving engine, the organizing principle of your life, and will also, as you act on your excitement more and more, bring to your attention whatever definitions you may be harboring that you are unaware of that are out of alignment with the vibration of your excitement. It will bring those up in front of your face to deal with. It will reveal to you what is incompatible with the vibration of your highest true self, which you call excitement, joy, love. It will do these things automatically. You don't have to wonder if it will. But pay close attention to your definition of excitement, because many of you have definitions of excitement that are very contradictory to the idea of excitement itself, as if the true definition of excitement could ever leave anything out that is truly representative of who you actually are. By definition, it can't. So pay attention to how you frame the idea of what you're calling your excitement. Understand that it is not only complete, but self-contained, self-perpetuating. Thus then, if you have a definition of excitement that in some way, shape, or form seems to leave something out that's truly representative of your highest excitement, then it's not a definition of your excitement. It can't be. By definition, it can't be. So pay attention to how you frame these things so that you can catch yourself Notice when you are creating a contradictory definition and thus then not allowing the true definition of your excitement to work for you in a harmonious way. Because again, we remind you, excitement is your natural vibration. That's your translation of your true frequency. It's your compass needle pointing to your true north. So, we also take this opportunity to remind you that when you are looking, scanning for what is exciting to you, that you be honest in your evaluation and have the discernment, the willingness to have the discernment to be able to tell the difference between what is truly aligned with your excitement and what is simply anxiety disguised as excitement because you're afraid to look at why the anxiety is there. So have discernment. Do not be afraid to look. The only reason many of you are afraid to look deep down into those negative beliefs is because you have been taught to believe that once you dig down and discover something negative that you may believe to be true about yourself, you are going to actually, this is the fear, that you're going to actually find out that it actually is true. True that you're a horrible person. True that you don't deserve. True that you're unworthy of love. True that you don't fit in. True that you're this, that, and the other thing. I can guarantee you, if it were true that you were truly unworthy, you wouldn't exist. So please stop arguing with creation. Stop denying your existence by assuming arrogantly that you, out of all creation, are the only one unworthy of your existence. Stop arguing with creation. Relax into the support that creation gives you. Relax into the opportunities that it presents you synchronistically in front of your face. Label them in a negative way, and you can only get a negative effect. Label them in a positive way, no matter how they look, and you can only get a positive effect. This is simple physics. That's all it is. And not only, as we have said, is it simple physics, it is simple physics. Not complicated at all. The only things that create complications, the only things that create difficulty is your resistance to the situation. There is no situation that exists that inherently contains struggle and strife and suffering. Yes, of course, there are challenges. Yes, of course, there may be hard physical work. Yes, of course, those things exist because you exist in a physical reality. That doesn't mean they are unpleasant or need to be. It doesn't mean that just because you are doing some hard work for something you love to do, that there is something wrong with that. When we talk about the idea of effortlessness, we don't mean that you will necessarily not experience the idea of physical work. There is joy in physical work. There is joy in doing something that at the end of the day you feel allows you, in that sense, to be accomplished. There is benefit and joy in that. Do not assume that when we talk about the idea of effortlessness, that means that you will not experience challenges or even some idea of physical labor. These things can be enjoyed in certain ways. But what we are talking about is the idea of true suffering, true pain, true anguish, true agony, true struggle in that sense. These things you do not need. And the only reason those things exist is not because of the circumstance, not because of the situation. They only exist because of your definition of the circumstance. All resistance comes from your definition of your relationship to the situation and the circumstance. There is no inherent pain in any given situation, only in your definition of your relationship to it. So learn to define things in a more positive way, and you will see that you will only experience a positive effect, because these things have no built-in meaning whatsoever. There is no built-in automatic meaning to any circumstance or situation in your life, only the meaning you have been designed to give it. And that is what you have been created to do. Give meaning to those things so that you will have the experience that is most harmoniously aligned with who you truly were created to be. resistance, as you say, is futile. Because it will only create more agony, more resistance, more pain. Give it up. There is no reason, really, empirically, to resist your life. Trust that it will unfold in perfect timing. Trust that the situations and circumstances that appear in your life are there for a reason. And if you know they are, and behave like you know they are, and give it a positive meaning, even if you don't empirically understand what possible positive thing could come out of it, it doesn't matter if your physical mind understands every little detail. In fact, it's not even designed to understand every little detail. So stop forcing it to do things it wasn't designed to do. Lighten up on your mind. For goodness sakes, it's tired enough. You have, in that sense, for your whole life been told to tell your physical mind that it has to be in control of everything and engineer this and engineer that and watch out for this detail and plan this and plan that ad nauseum. Your physical mind is now evacuating. It is now vomiting up all those things it can no longer stomach. Give it a break. Allow your physical mind to do the job it was designed to do. To enjoy and perceive and experience the physical reality you have chosen to explore, the themes and challenges you have chosen to transform, the discoveries you have chosen to make about who and what you are in this realm. The reflections you have chosen to discover in the higher mind mirror that allow you to know more and more each and every day who you truly are, so that you can become more harmoniously aligned with the flow of creation instead of struggling by resisting it, swimming upstream against the current. Go with the flow, because the flow is leading you exactly to the proper place you need to be, at the proper time, with exactly whom you need to be there. Everything already works. You don't have to make it work. You just have to allow it to work. That's all. Allow yourself to be who you truly are. Truly. Now we will, in the course of our interactions with you, in the questions and answers that are about to come in this transmission, explore more specifically the ideas of resistances, of shadow reflections, of negative beliefs, so that you can truly be clear about these things and let them go, because they do not serve you. But before we do that, a little announcement. In that you are in the threshold now, and that we will be doing another transmission tomorrow night of your time, we will have changed the frequency and vibration of our being collectively and shifted sufficiently at that point and tipped the scales just far enough that we can, tomorrow night of your time, introduce you to a communication from another being you have never met. We will allow that being to introduce herself more formally to you tomorrow night of your time, or as she would put it, in another nocturne cycle. But we will tell you this much about her. Since we are going to be exploring a little bit more deeply, a little bit more fully, tomorrow night of your time, the concept of parallel reality templates, how to more clearly understand how it is you are shifting intentionally to different parallel realities of your preference, this being who comes to you, who we have been preparing and practicing with for some time now, to be able to utilize the biological telephone sitting before you, what she would call the biometric. She comes from what you would recognize as approximately 700 years in your future. She is a parallel reality specialist. Now, this being will be speaking to you over the course, from time to time, of your year of 2013. So tomorrow night of your time will be mostly an introduction, a getting to know you, as you say in your Hollywood speak, a meet and greet. Just so that you can begin to learn each other's colors and flavors and vibrations and frequencies. But I will begin to prepare you by getting you used to her name. Willa Hillicrissing. Willa Hillicrissing. Willa Hillicrissing. She is not what you think. But she will tell you herself tomorrow night of your time a little bit more about exactly what she is. At this timing, we will extend to you now our deep appreciation and gratitude, and ask in return, in what way now may we be of service to you with your questions?